I'm so excited you guys are all here. Like I was just saying, I'm doing this meeting because I've been on a wellness journey for 20 years. I was very sick from a very young age. I think a lot of you again might have watched my live with Angie and Arlen, which did tell part of my story and kind of why I'm doing what I'm doing. But I wanted to run this Zoom because I got so many questions in the last couple of days that all were very similar, and so many big disease questions, so many, I'm suffering with X, Y, and Z. Can you help me? And the answer is always yes. The answer is always yes, because there are so many things that you can do to move yourself forward. And I was in the worst of it for years. And honestly, I woke up every day not knowing if I would survive the day for years, but I was able to keep a success mindset because I had seen how certain things could impact me and how I could feel better. And so I knew that there was light at the end of the tunnel. And so I wanted to have this call to talk about some of the things that took me 15 years to find. And again, it goes back to the IHP side of things, is like really finding the missing pieces to the puzzle and being able to connect them all and see that if you're missing even one of them and you're doing all these other things, you are still holding yourself back from healing. So if you can recognize the key buckets that you need to be paying attention to, and you can keep them all moving at the same time without letting them fall, then you're going to be much more successful in finding and eliminating your root causes and getting to a point where you're feeling better. You're feeling so much better. I mean, the amount that I suffered as a kid, I never would have thought I would get to where I am today. I had such severe anxiety a few years ago. The thought of running a group Zoom or going live in front of hundreds of people would have absolutely crippled me. Yet I was able to eliminate root causes that were actually the cause of my anxiety. And as soon as I eliminated those, my anxiety was completely gone. And so I wanted to share some of those gems and help people start to identify for themselves and become their own health detective and find those missing pieces to the puzzle. So first, again, I want to do kind of a show of hands type thing. I know a lot of you aren't on video, which is fine. But I want to start by going through a quiz of positives and negatives so that you can recognize that on your health journey, there are 50 things you can do that'll have a positive impact and move you forward on your health. And there's another 100 you can do that are going to move you backward. And so it's all about the balance, and it's about eliminating more of the negatives and adding more of the positives. And it comes back to that on the physical side, but on the mental side as well. And there's, I'm going to give you guys some homework to go home with that really made a huge impact for me, because like I said, I've always been very positive and very optimistic, and I was always believing that I was capable of healing. But there were times where I was in so much pain, I couldn't remember what brought me joy. And so I found that creating a joy list and printing it out and putting it on my desk and putting it next to my bed meant that whenever I couldn't remember what I enjoyed, I could just look at that and it would take me out of some of my worst situations. So some of these things seem simple, but they make a massive impact. So what I want to do first is I want to go through a list of things that are going to have a positive impact on you. And I want to see how many of these each of you are doing. So if you guys follow Angie, and you have for a while, you're likely actually already doing a lot of them. But each of them has their own benefit. And if you're missing one of those buckets, like I talked about, because you're missing one of the lifestyle tricks or missing one of the diet tricks, or you're doing one thing, if you could recognize that and change it, it'll have a massive impact on everything moving forward. So let's go through the positives. How many of you are saunaing with an infrared sauna 2 or more times a week? Okay, how many of you are taking minerals and electrolytes around your sauna and on a daily basis? Okay. How many of you are exercising 3 to 6 days a week and walking 8 to 10,000 steps a day? Okay. How many of you are using a Somavedic or an EMF protection device in your home and on your phones and on with your computer? Okay. How many of you are coffee enemas? Okay. How many of you use PEMF therapy? Okay. How many of you did or have done a 21-day detox in the last year or at any point? How many of you guys have done a parasite cleanse and been successful with it to where you've seen parasites come out of you? Okay. How many of you use Asea or Ion Biome? Okay. How many of you use an air purifier and a water purifier? Okay. How many of you are living the non-toxic lifestyle to where you're doing everything you can to remove toxins from your life, from your environment, from your personal skincare, from your food? How many of you are living a non-toxic life? Okay. How many of you try and eat entirely organic, non-GMO, glyphosate-free, free range, and grass-fed? Okay. How many of you eat a variety of fruits and vegetables every single day, at least 8 every day? And you move it around throughout the week. Okay. That's pretty common. How many of you are getting at least 7 hours of quality sleep a night and you're going to bed and waking up at almost the same time? Okay. How many of you get sunlight every single day? Okay. How many of you dry brush daily or almost every day? Okay. How many of you get enough amino acids and know how much protein and amino acids you need? Okay. How many of you drink half your body weight in water, but make sure that at least half of that water has minerals or electrolytes in it? Okay. And how many of you put your feet on the ground on a daily basis, on the grass, on gravel, on, anything that gives you grounding benefits? Okay. And how many of you guys poop at least twice a day? Awesome. So there's a very long list of other things that will provide you benefit. This was just a good indication of some of the kind of bigger, more important things. And I already recognize some of the areas that aren't as big of a focus, but also should be. Then it goes down to what's going to cause a negative, what's going to cause you to go backward every single time you do these things is, how many of you still eat canola oil or allow canola oil into your diet or partially hydrogenated oils or trans oils? Awesome. How many of you have taken antibiotics in the last 5 years? Okay. How many of you drink carbonated water or carbonated drinks of any sort? Okay. How many of you drink cold liquids during and around meals? Or any liquid of any sort during and around meals? Okay. How many of you live in a moldy environment? Okay. How many of you have vomited in the last 2-3 years? Okay. How many of you live at altitude? Okay. How many of you live in a city or near an airport? Okay. How many of you eat processed foods? Okay. How many of you drink fluoride and chloride or don't filter your shower water? Okay. How many of you sleep with an overhead fan on? Okay. And how many of you drink coffee or alcohol? Okay, great. So again, there's a very, very long list here. But I wanted to point out, especially on the negative list, some of the things that people don't recognize that are causing them harm. And a lot of these things aren't in your control. And that's a really important thing to appreciate, is that if you live in a city or you can't move out of the city easily, I understand that. But sometimes what's holding you back is a category that you may not be aware of. So I'm wondering how many of you know why I asked about carbonated drinks. Does anyone know why I asked if you drink carbonated drinks? Okay, so this kind of takes me into one of the biggest foundations and categories that I wanted to talk about today, which is something that is not talked about at all, pretty much. I want to explain why this is so important. And it all comes back to voltage. You want to, when you're trying to balance the body, when you're trying to heal chronic illness, when you're trying to get your liver to a healthier spot, it all comes back to your cellular makeup. It all comes back to the cells. The cells are at the very root of absolutely everything. And if you are providing your cells with the building blocks they need then they will completely replace almost all of your organs in your entire body within a year. And the problem is most of us aren't providing our cells what they need to function and to be able to rebuild, to be able to give you that energy, because cells require voltage, which is electricity. It's what was missing from me for a very long time. And also, if you watched my live, I told you that when I tried PEMF therapy for the first time, my entire life changed. And there were a couple reasons for that. One of them was because it provided voltage into my body. That's what PEMF therapy does, is it provides electromagnetic voltage into your cells to give them the voltage they need to function. There's a lot of things in the world that steal voltage from you, and there's a lot of things that give you voltage. When your body is in a state where your voltage is low, and that means you're drinking carbonated water, you're eating a lot of processed food, all these things steal voltage from you. When that happens, that's when disease happens. It also causes low oxygen in the body. So when your voltage is low, you have low oxygen, you've got no energy, your cells cannot recreate themselves and rebuild. They can't fight for your immune system. They can't do everything they were made to do. And when your voltage is super low, that's when cancer develops. So all disease happens when your voltage is low. When your voltage is low also, and your oxygen is low, that's when 1 trillion bugs wake up in your body. Bugs cannot live or thrive in an oxygen-rich environment. So if your voltage is low and your oxygen is low, all these bugs wake up. And because they don't have teeth, they emit digestive juices into your body and start to digest you. And that is going to cause chronic inflammation. It's going to cause just a whole host of problems, because all of a sudden, all these parasites, all the yeast, all the candida, all the Lyme, all of the literally trillions of bugs wake up and start doing damage. If you think about it from that perspective, that means the way to get into remission from Lyme disease, the way to get your energy back, is all about adding voltage into your body and removing the things that are stealing voltage. I have a really good handout that I'm going to send out after this that is a really good chart of all the things that steal voltage and all the things that give voltage. So one of the first things that you should do when you get off of this call is look at this list and identify what voltage stealers you have and what of the ones that give you voltage you have. So for instance, my dad, he was having some energy issues, and I'm visiting him right now, and I was able to look at his lifestyle and say, wow, he's drinking 2 bottles of carbonated water a day. Carbonated water and carbonated drinks are like pure acid. If you dump one on an engine, it will take the grease off of an engine. So carbonated drinks are huge voltage stealers. So it's one of the simplest things you can remove if you want to improve your voltage, improve your energy, improve your oxygen, all of that is carbonated drinks. But also the obvious ones steal voltage, which is the processed foods, it's the alcohol, it's the coffee, it's all the things we kind of know. Almost everything on this list up here steals voltage. The ones that I said were negatives. You're chronically ill, focus on removing those negatives and your voltage will automatically be higher. And then you add in the ones that are going to give you voltage. And there's some interesting ones in there. For instance, grounding. That's why Angie and Arlen talk about grounding. Grounding gives you voltage because the earth runs on voltage. So being at the beach brings negative ions, which is bringing you voltage. Putting your feet on the sand, getting sunlight, all of the things in nature are going to give you voltage. But then eating unprocessed foods and minerals and salt. Salt is one of the primary things that gives your cells voltage. So that's why, I recommend Redmond sea salt, because it's microplastic free and it's just an incredible salt. But I drink that in water a few times a day. So does lemon. So it's one of the simplest lifestyle things you can do is drink a warm lemon water first thing in the morning, every morning, with a pinch of Redmond sea salt. Because not only are you getting voltage from the lemon and the salt, but The lemon is going to work on detoxifying your liver. It's going to alkalize you. It's going to do just a huge host of powerful things. So people talk about lemon water all the time, but how powerful it is, most people don't talk about. So if you add sea salt to that and the warm lemon water in the morning, you're going to have a big boost of energy in the morning. It's going to help with detoxification. You're going to have lots of energy. And then everything else is going to be much easier for the day. I'm going to, like I said, send out this handout that'll give you what gives and steals voltage, but it's so important. You almost want to start treating yourself like an electrician instead of a physician. You don't want to, if you focus on the electrical side of things and providing your cells and your body with enough voltage, your energy will double. You will put back to sleep all of the bugs that just woke up. And if you start to look at when you go in and out of remission, when you feel worse, a lot of the times it's when you're not doing all the things that are adding voltage to you. And it's when you're doing a lot of the things that are taking it. So exercise is one of the things that gives the most voltage. So if you're not exercising, because when you're chronically ill, I've had a lifetime of it. I understand how hard it is, but when you're chronically ill, you stop exercising. You don't go out in the sun. You don't do these things that are really healthy for you, because at that moment, it seems like it's a lot. But the electrical charge those things are going to give you are going to help you heal faster. So if you want to get to the end goal faster, you do have to do these things now to get the compounding effect of your cells being able to turn over. You can have an entire new gut lining in 3 days. 3 days. So if you're struggling with food sensitivities and you're struggling with, a lot of gut issues, work on the voltage and providing the building blocks to cells, and you will start to heal much, much faster. Then it goes back to the question of the canola oil and trans fat and partially hydrogenated fats. There's a really important thing to understand about these things. And your cells are made of fat. Fat is so essential for the building of cells. And so if the fat that you're eating is one of these 3 fats, which are called plastic fats, what's going to happen with your cells is your cells are going to be made of plastic. All these new cells that you're building are using building blocks of plastic fat. So plastic cells cannot hold voltage. So when you eat canola oil, it turns your cells to plastic, and then the voltage can't go into those cells. So those cells can no longer hold energy. They can no longer do what they're supposed to do. So one of the biggest things you need to do to move forward is to 100% cut out the plastic fats, no matter what. Like, it's essential, because you cannot hold voltage and you cannot replace your cells and replace your organs, which should happen, like I said, every 3 days to a year, if you're eating any of these types of plastic fats. So I hope that all made sense. But the voltage side of things is huge, and literally start thinking like an electrician. And I'll send out that document so you guys can all look at that list and start to cross off the ones that you can get rid of and start to add in more of the ones that are going to give you the voltage. So again, I've had Lyme disease for most of my life. And when I looked back at the times when I was in remission, it was because I was providing incredible amounts of voltage into my body, and I was doing all those things. And then when I would take a break or I would stop doing them, that voltage would drop so low that I would start to feel bad again, and I would go back into, a downslide. But then I would start doing them again and I'd feel better. So it all makes sense now. I didn't understand at that time. And I know how hard it is to do exercise and to do some of these things when you're sick, but it's going to make a massive, massive difference, not just from the voltage angle, but also from the circulation and the detox and the sweating component of it. Next, I want to dive into gut health and some bile flow and some of the kind of most important things I've learned about gut health, because as of 3 years ago, I had over 100 food sensitivities, and I would go, well, maybe a little longer than that. I'm really bad on timelines. If I ate one of those 100 foods, if I drank something cold, I would go into half an hour to an hour long shaking attacks. My body was so unbelievably sensitive. It could not handle pretty much anything. I went through a lot of muscle testing. I went through lots of different supplements. I was so sensitive. There were a lot of components that I didn't understand at the time. The first one that I want to talk about is bile. And this is why I asked if anyone's vomited in the last year or two, because bile is such an important piece to absolutely everything in your body. If you don't have enough bile, which is the acid and the flame in your gut, not only can't you really digest anything fully, you also can't keep the bad bugs from overgrowing. So gut health is a lot about the balance of good to bad. You're always going to have, parasitic and bad bugs. You always will. There's no way to get rid of them all. And you actually don't want to get rid of them all. But you can keep them from overpowering the good guys. And just taking a probiotic's not going to do it. Probiotics, most of them don't even make it to where you want them to make it to. So what you want to focus on is making sure that your digestive flame is burning really, really hot. You need to make sure that you've got enough bile. You need to make sure that you're not turning off your digestive flame by drinking cold drinks. Because if you drink ice water during meals, or you drink a cold drink during meals, you're significantly cutting down your gut's ability to digest and assimilate all of the food that you're eating. So you're more likely to have indigestion. You're more likely to, like I said, not absorb things. And when you do that, you're also not going to produce as much bile. So as you get older, your bile decreases. And every time you throw up, your bile decreases. And if you've got a liver that's so overloaded with toxins, because we live in such a toxic world, that the little ducts, they're really small. They're called liver bile ducts. Those can get clogged. And so what it means is when your liver and gallbladder are putting out the bile, it's not making its way far enough into your gut. And so that can cause constipation. It can cause, a number of things. But one of the biggest things is that without all that digestive flame, parasites can overgrow. And once parasites overgrow, they can spread to the rest of your body and they become biofilm communities. So other things hide inside of them. So if you've been fighting mold for years, if you've been fighting Lyme disease, if you've been fighting candida overgrowth, yet you haven't gotten rid of the parasites, you will never, ever get rid of Lyme or mold, because they live inside the parasites. So when you look at the order in which you should be doing things, parasites have to start first. You have to get rid of the parasites and kill the parasites before you can try and address the yeast and the candida and the mold, because if you don't, there's so much of it still living inside that as soon as you stop treating the mold or stop treating the Lyme, it's just going to come back. And so if you can combine removing parasites with increasing your voltage, you're going to get rid of all those biofilm communities. So no one can hide any longer. I mean, anyone who's got Lyme knows that they drill themselves into your tissues. They hide. They're professional hiders. And so it's really hard to treat. It's so hard to treat. And the reason is because they find these communities, and a lot of the communities are actually parasites. And so one of the best things I ever did for myself was going through a pretty significant parasite cleanse. And before I did that, I ended up in the hospital constantly with seizure-like attacks and couldn't eat anything and was so anxious and depressed I could barely function, even though I was still optimistic that there was light at the end of the tunnel because I had seen so much progress. It was affecting my gut so much. I was unable to produce serotonin and all the things that we know the gut is connected to the brain. So when I went through this parasite protocol, all of that was gone, all of it. It completely removed any remaining symptoms I had. One of the most important things to know is a lot of times people go through a parasite cleanse. They do, let's say, a full moon cleanse. That's not going to get out enough. I went through 6 to 7 months of parasite cleansing of my gut, 6 to 7 months. And then After that, I went through 4 to 5 months of killing parasites throughout the rest of my body. Because if you have leaky gut, or you have a gut that's not, that all the tight junctions aren't happy, the parasites are going to escape and they're going to make a home in your other organs and in your lymphatic system. And I know how horrible it sounds. And I had a horrible phobia of parasites until I did this, honestly, like terrible phobia my whole life until I went through this protocol. And then I was having a lot of fun because I was seeing some monsters come out. But when I moved to killing the ones that were throughout the rest of my body, completely different bugs started coming out. I just want to impress upon you guys how important it is, because if you've ever vomited in your life, if you've ever been to a third world country, if you've ever eaten salad, if you've ever eaten sushi, you have parasites. If you have a pulse, you have parasites. And again, it goes back to creating balance. So if we're never going to get rid of 100%, but if you can improve the balance of good to bad bacteria in your body, everything will start to improve. The parasite cleansing is a really big part of that. And I highly suggest that before going through any other type of protocol. So if you were in or knew about our Access Yorize Discord community, what we do is we always take people through a detox first to open up their liver and their pathways and help reduce the stress on the body, because toxins, every toxin, and you've got billions of them, are creating stress internally. And so if you're able to do a detox 7, 14, or 21 day, which empties a significant amount of your toxins, it clears your liver, it prepares your body to then take on the next level of healing. If you go straight into a parasite cleanse without cleaning out your liver and preparing for all the toxins that are about to be released, you're going to have a lot of pretty bad symptoms. However, if you do the detox, you open up your detox pathways and you clean out your body before going into a parasite cleanse, your body will be much more capable of managing any symptoms associated with it. Because if you've been chronically ill a long time, once you start to kill the parasites, everything that was living inside them gets released. And then the cleanse will then start to kill and eliminate those things as well. But your body needs to be able to deal with it. I always talk about roadmaps going from A to Z. Detoxing is in the first couple, parasites is immediately after. And then once you've done that, you reassess with functional lab testing. Functional lab testing will allow you to pinpoint what your specific issues are. So everyone needs to detox. There's no question about it. We live in a very toxic world. Everyone should parasite cleanse to some degree, because you all have parasites and they are eating your nutrients and keeping you from absorbing and stealing your energy. And if you're chronically ill, they're causing a lot of other problems. But then after you go through those, functional testing will allow you to see, do I have hormone imbalances I need to look at? Do I have a severe yeast overgrowth? Do I have mineral deficiencies? Like, what is my root cause, my domino root cause? There are a lot of root causes. And in my life, I've slowly peeled back the onion. I've slowly knocked out one by one. And what you want to try and recognize, and that's what functional medicine testing will do, is what is your domino? The one that if you knock it down, the rest of them are going to knock down as well. And so this goes back to, looking at the list that I brought up at the beginning. If you look at things in categories and you say, okay, I need to lessen my internal stress. I need to lessen my external stress, because both of those are root causes. I need to improve my circulation. I need to improve my bile flow. I need to increase my voltage. I need to reduce the EMFs around me. All of those are separate buckets. And as long as you're taking action on each of those individually, you're going to be moving much faster toward healing. If there's one that's missing, like I said, the voltage is missing, or you don't have enough bile, or because bile, like I said, is so important for gut health, and gut health is the center of almost everything. or you're not protecting yourself from EMFs, and EMFs are constantly bombarding you and putting radiation into your body. No matter what you do, without protecting yourself from that, it's going to be really hard to get over it. So if you take steps in each of these different categories, healing happens much faster. I didn't want to talk about any of the basics. I didn't want to talk about the basics of hydration or the basics of diet or the basics of movement. We all know we need to be moving. We all know, we need to be doing the foundations. It's the really looking at some of your lifestyle habits, like if you drink water during meals, like if, you don't have the bile flow, and identifying which ones stand out to you and then addressing them one by one. So if bile, for instance, is the one that you recognize that you're maybe not addressing. So here's a few things you can do to increase your bile. So make sure you're doing at least one of these. So either coffee enemas, morning lemon water, dandelion tea, milk thistle tea, bile salts. So TUDCA is my favorite. I take TUDCA every single day. It's a bile salt supplement. I take it with 2 meals a day. And it is one of the most powerful supplements I've ever found, and something I will probably take for the rest of my life. And it's a cell core supplement. It's one of those that is so powerful and impactful that I highly recommend it to anybody. I would look at those 5, 6 things and say, can I add another one? Can I add the morning lemon water? Can I add the bile salts? Can I add the coffee enemas? Because all of those are going to increase bile flow, which is going to have a trickle down effect to benefit your gut health, which will impact your brain, which is going to impact your liver. Because the liver and the gut are so directly connected, and bile is one of the key things that connects them both. And so without that healthy flow, you're going to have a backup of toxins in your liver, which is then going to cause chronic issues throughout your entire body, because when your liver can't move it down those bile ducts and doesn't have the bile, it then puts it out into your rest of your body. So you then have those toxins that your body couldn't eliminate being reabsorbed and causing more chronic issues. So you think you're doing really good, but then your liver is overwhelmed and it's just causing chronic toxicity in your body. So if you get the bile and you get your liver bile ducts open, it's going to have a really big trickle down effect that's going to impact and benefit every system of your body. So that's one bucket, right? And then we go back to the voltage, which I'm going to give you a list for, but I already gave you lots of ideas. And I pretty much told you, here are the things you want to avoid. Some of the interesting ones, the fan, I know it's hot and a lot of you maybe don't have central air, but if you have a fan above you, moving air steals voltage. So it's interesting. Moving water gives voltage. Still water steals voltage. So if you're in the shower, showering gives you voltage. If you're in the bath is going to steal your voltage. There's like these weird micro differences that actually make a really big difference. And if you're a chronic bath taker, or, you always have a fan on with moving air, that's stealing your voltage and your energy and the lifeline of all of your cells. So really focusing on moving toward the positive on that and away from the negatives is really important. The next one is understanding the drainage funnel. Drainage is super important in the body, super important. And it's in a funnel shape. Okay. So this is the kind of the detox drainage funnel, and the very bottom of the funnel. If the bottom of that funnel is not functioning correctly, or it's clogged up, everything above it isn't going to work. Everything above it's not going to work. So you have to focus first on the opening up the very bottom of the funnel, which is your bowels. So if you're not pooping twice a day, you are reabsorbing all the toxins from that poop. So I know constipation is one of the biggest issues in the entire world. It is so common. And the problem is stool is the way your body eliminates toxins from your body. If it's stuck in there, it is literally reabsorbing the toxins. So getting your bowels moving twice a day is one of the most important things you can do to lower your toxic load, build your energy, again, it kind of opens up the rest of the funnel. If you do that and you get your bowels moving, you can then move up to the next part of the funnel, which is, again, the bile and liver. Once you get up to the bile and liver, you do what I just talked about. You focus on supporting the liver by putting in less toxins. That's the first thing you can do, really, is really looking at your environment and the foods you eat, the water you drink, the cleaning products you use, the makeup you use, literally absolutely everything around you is either giving you toxins or not. And most stuff is. The bedding you're using, interestingly, clothing that has dyes, even if you wash them 10 times, they're still putting toxins into your body. So we're constantly bombarded on the outside by toxins. And so the less you can put in, the better in every aspect of your life. And I'm going to use the analogy of the rain barrel, which is a Dr. Cabral concept. And it's the reason, the detoxes exist, is that your body is a rain barrel. And every day for your entire life, your rain barrel is filling and filling and filling. And when it gets to the top and the water starts to come out the sides, that's when symptoms develop. That's when disease develops, is when your rain barrel is full of toxins and it causes chronic toxicity to all of your organs. So if you start to eliminate all the toxins you're putting in from every angle, and then focus on getting the ones that have already built up in your cells and your body out, you're going to remove a lot of stress from your liver. The two most important organs to run your entire body, in my opinion, are the gut and the liver. They are pretty much the root of everything. So if you get those two organs really happy, everything else is going to follow. And so the liver is all about removing internal stress and toxicity. So that's where you do a 21-day detox. That's where you add in detoxing foods like broccoli and cruciferous vegetables. And you really focus on the toxicity side of it, which I know a lot of you already are, because that's a big part of what Angie and Arlen talk about, is removing toxins. It's about sweating. Infrared saunas are one of the best things in the entire world for removing toxicities. And it's another tool that completely changed my life. And I still sauna 3 to 4 days a week. And so that, again, is really improving your liver health. And it's taking stress off of that liver so that it can function and detox you to the level that it's supposed to. When your liver is overwhelmed and it's completely bombarded on a daily basis by toxins from the outside world, but also from your internal environment, it can't function as it's supposed to. It recirculates and puts all those toxins back into your bloodstream, which then pushes them out to the rest of your body. And without the bowels being open to be able to push those out, again, you're going to recirculate everything. You always want to focus on the bowels, the liver, removing toxins from the external environment, doing quarterly or yearly detoxes. I recommend quarterly, to empty your rain barrel. And then once you've gotten that to a healthy spot, then you can work on, like I said, the parasites and lowering your internal stress load. Because stress is obviously a massive one that I could talk about for hours, because there's so many different types of stress that are all root causes and all impacting you in a massive way. And the parasite and infection load in your body is a massive, massive internal stress. So not only do you have the toxic stress, you've got the infection and parasite stress. And so the more you can lower each of those, the more you're going to be able to get your body back into balance. That's kind of the second step on the drainage funnel. And then you go up into your lymphatic system. And this is a system that not a lot of people know much about. I have a lot of experience with it because when I was 18, I started seeing a specific practitioner who focused on lymphatic drainage. And I still see them to this day. They're called counterstrain, and they've completely changed my life. Completely. They are absolutely exceptional in what they can do. But the lymphatic system is pretty much everything that surrounds all of your organs. It's just this big cover for your body that holds a ton of water and a ton of what's called Doura, which is like a wrapping that holds everything in place. it's also a massive detox organ. And so it holds tons of toxins, it holds tons of parasites, it holds tons of water. It's where cellulite lives. It's just a big thing that literally surrounds your entire body. So that's where dry brushing comes in. That's where rebounding comes in. That's where exercise and movement comes in, is to minimize the stagnation within your lymphatic system. So stagnation brews disease. If you're stagnant and you're in bed, you can't get out of bed, or you don't go for walks, you can't do anything because you're chronically ill, you're keeping yourself chronically ill by not moving. The more stagnant you are, the sicker you're going to get, because all those toxins are going to just simmer in there. They're just going to bounce around, causing your cells damage. So the lymphatic system is super important, and there are really simple ways to improve your lymphatic drainage and flow and keep those toxins moving, because you do not want to let your lymphatic system get stagnant. It will cause an unbelievable amount of chronic inflammation and overwhelm your body. So this is, again, where the dry brushing is so valuable. It's so simple. It's like a $3 brush and a 2 to 5 minute thing that you can do every single day. And that simple thing, not only will it help you detox in a really big way, it'll minimize stagnation, but it also breaks up cellulite. So for someone who asked about cellulite, dry brushing actually breaks up cellulite and helps, because a lot of cellulite is stagnation. So it's stagnant cells and unhappy fat cells. Dry brushing is a huge one. Rebounding on a trampoline, just literally like minimal bouncing on a trampoline, will activate your entire lymphatic system and allow you to move those toxins into your liver, which then allows them to be removed from your body. So if you're doing a normal detox, a 7, 14, 21 day detox, that's amazing. It's so amazing, because it's really like peeling away toxins that may have been stored there for the last 20 years. But if you're still being stagnant and you're not moving your lymphatics, you're going to still have this stockpile of toxins and parasites that are going to continue to cause you problems. So it's a big, important component to it. And that's where movement, stretching actually is opening up your Doura and your lymphatic system. So I'm a performance person. I was a professional athlete, and you look at athletes who don't stretch versus athletes that stretch. The ones that stretch actually have more powerful muscles and bigger muscles, because your Doura, which literally surrounds every inch of your body and every organ, it's tight. It's super tight. And so if you don't stretch that Doura, it's just going to get tighter and tighter. So if you stretch, what's going to do, it's going to loosen it, which allows your muscles to grow, and it allows room for new muscle cells to develop. So it's also going to allow more movement of your lymphatic fluid. So stretching, yoga, things like that after any form of exercise or when you wake up in the morning are really powerful in the long run. It may seem like a waste of time, but it's really, really powerful in the long run for allowing your body to do what it's supposed to do. I hope that made sense. Again, I've had a lot of manual work done. I've had Rolfing done. I've had strain counterstrain. I've had, Jones Institute work. I've had lymphatic drainage. I've had so much alternative treatment. And a lot of it was based around fascia and the Doura and how it literally locks your body in place unless you release it. For anyone who's having any extreme physical pain, like you've got, your neck is out or anything physical, not on, the side we're talking about where you feel like you're being poisoned or something. But if anyone has any extreme knee pain or hip pain, I 100% recommend strain counterstrain. There's almost nothing more I could recommend in the entire world than strain counterstrain. It has been so life-changing to me. And one appointment with them is worth about 20 appointments with any other type of practitioner or manual therapy practitioner. So if you know people who've got really horrible neck pain or, feet problems or whatever, highly recommend those practitioners. Anyway, tangent. The next step on the funnel is your organs. And once the liver and the gut are happy and functioning, again, there's going to be a ripple effect. Oops, hold on. Let's see what someone just asked. Which part? Oh, so the type of practitioner is called strain counterstrain. If you go to counterstrain.com, I know the guy, I was very fortunate, and the island that my family lived on and I grew up on happened to be where 3 of the best practitioners in the country started. And so I know the head of the counterstrain organization. This form of manual therapy is so powerful that normally it's like a secret, and world-class athletes use it, but they don't want to tell anyone because it's kind of a secret weapon. But it's becoming a lot more well-known. There just aren't a lot of practitioners. So I live in San Diego now, and there's a woman I see who's absolutely incredible. And within an hour, I get so much relief from anything I go in with. If I go in and my hips are off center, or, something on the physical side, she can put them back together and I walk out 100% normal again. So it's also a really powerful tool when you're really sick, because when there's blockages somewhere in your body, there's sometimes no way to undo those blockages without some form of lymphatic drainage. So if, for instance, you've been really toxic for a really long time, you've been sick for a really long time, you don't get a lot of exercise, you don't have a PEMF device, you've got a lot of microcirculation in your body. Something like 70% of your blood vessels are microscopic. They're smaller than the hair. And when your body is full of toxins, all those microscopic arteries and veins and, things are blocked. And so I'm going to send a video out after in my follow-up with this 2-minute video that everyone should watch, because it totally blew my mind. It's what PEMF therapy does. But I'm bringing that up because these types of practitioners, they release dysfunction in your body. So if you've got a neck that's crinked, there's a reason it's crinked, and it's not usually in the neck. It's usually down in your leg or in your gut or something. It's the reason I understand how everything is connected is because they will release something in my neck and all of a sudden my stomach will improve, or something along those lines, because it's not really where something hurts that the problem usually is. So sometimes, like I said, you'll have a crink in your neck, but it's tight because your liver is unhappy. So then they treat the liver and the neck goes away completely. So again, I could talk about this forever because it's been so life-changing for me, but I just highly recommend looking into this form of manual therapy. And yeah, so the neck, I used to, when I was struggling the most with Lyme, I would go through these periods where I thought I was going to explode out of my neck. I thought I was going to throw up out the side of my neck because it was so toxic and so just horrifically painful and nauseous, and it was just horrible. And I would go in to see a strain counterstrain person and walk out and it would be completely gone, 100% gone. And so it was something that was stuck, that was keeping the flow of toxins from releasing. And so they just can find some of these missing components and release them. So again, I highly, highly suggest doing that. The castor oil packs, which someone just asked about, yeah, I definitely believe in them. They definitely work. It's not something I've used a lot because I use all the other tools that I've had, and I haven't really needed to. I keep my rain barrel very empty by doing detoxes, by saunaing, by exercising, by eating a lot of detoxing foods. So, I usually look at it from that side, as opposed to kind of adding more things externally. But yes, they absolutely do work. So again, I know we're at an hour. I'm happy to keep going. I've got plenty more I can talk about. I know, you guys might have more specific questions. I think a lot of the questions that I got in the last couple of days were about gut issues, and were like, is there hope for someone with X, Y, and Z? And I can't legally say a single, disease name, and I'm not able to help you treat, diagnose, or cure anything. But everything I just told you will help your gut in a big way. Like, zero question, getting rid of the parasites is a huge, huge issue. Anyone who's got gut issues, it's because of the imbalance in your gut. And with the gut issues, I also recommend Ion Biome because it's so powerful for rebuilding and tightening the tight junctions. And just like Asea, which is also something I take, it goes back to the cells and the communication. And when I talked about all the cells at the beginning, the one thing I kind of left out was that your cells start as a generic cell, and then they decide what type of cell they're going to become based on what your body needs. So if you are in a place where your liver really needs help, or your heart needs help, whatever it is, the cell will then decide, I'm going to become a liver cell. I'm going to become a heart cell. I'm going to become a skin cell, based on what your body needs. And things like Asea and Ion Biome, which are both redox molecule based, it allows your cells to communicate with your genes and to communicate between cells to then be able to create the cells that are actually needed. So Asea and Ion Biome are like the food for the cells that help them function better, and they help all of your organs function better pretty much. So I've got so many tools. Like, I could talk tools all day, supplements, I could talk, devices, I could talk practitioners all day. And I will do that on my social. I don't have unlimited time here. It looks like people are asking about PEMF mats. So personally, I used the Bemer, Bemer. I found the machine back, let's see how many years ago. It's like maybe 12 years ago now, something like that. And like I said, within 8 minutes, my entire life changed. It was so unbelievable how much it helped me. And I dove into researching, because that's what I do. If something works for me, I'm going to learn absolutely everything I can about it so I can teach other people and have it help other people. So when I found the Bemer, it was so life-changing for me that I told a lot of people about it, and everyone else had the same reaction I did. Even people who've been suffering with Lyme for 15 years, their lives completely changed. So I don't have experience with any other company's PEMF devices. I've been using the same one for 12 plus years, and my family uses the same one, and I continue to use it several times a week. I don't need it every day anymore. For a while I did, or I didn't maybe need it, but I used it every day because, like I said, it provides voltage. But for me, the most important part was the microcirculation. And this is the video I'm going to send out after. Like I said, it's a 2-minute video that if you watch the whole thing, just like a light bulb's going to go off, because it really shows you internally. It actually like has a camera inside your blood vessels. It shows you what PEMF therapy is doing. And it's so powerful. And one of the great things about the Bemer is, because it's set up in an MLM structure, there are a lot of independent people around the country who sell Bemers, which means that they usually will allow you to try them. So the woman I saw, she charged me $20 for an 8-minute session. And I went 3 days a week for the first 2 weeks until I realized how much it changed my life. And so then I went and bought one. But I was able to use this machine for $20. And so there are countless acupuncture clinics around the country and facilities that have these machines that you can go in and use a couple times a week and see what it does for you. Because, I don't know, like I said, about the higher dose. I don't know about any of their brands, but if you can find a Bemer distributor in your area, or just Google PEMF therapy, you can find a clinic that allows you to try it. There's no one that it wouldn't benefit. No one. It will benefit every single person who uses it. So yes, another one is Lyme and Asea. So I've been using Asea for a couple of years now, and it has been really incredible. When I first started using it, it gave me such an insane energy boost. Like, to me, that was the first noticeable thing. I was like bouncing off the walls with energy. And I'm a pretty energetic person. So for that to happen was pretty incredible. And so I started like riding the bike more. It's this core energy that is pretty consistent. It's not like you go in ups and downs. It's like you feel this energy deep, deep inside you that you haven't felt in years. And that was the first thing that I noticed from Asea. And so I've been taking it every day since, and I go through periods of taking more of it because, like, for instance, I had 2 root canals removed in the last couple months. And so leading up to it, I drank a lot more. After it, I drank half a bottle a day and I healed really quickly. But for the chronic illness sufferers, I believe it's one of the most important things that you could be taking, because it allows all of your organs to function better because of, like I said, the communication between your cells and the cells of those organs and your genes. It helps your genes do what they were meant to do. So I'm not going to go into epigenetics and all that fun stuff. I could go into that, again, for hours. And I've got some gene irregularities that I have to work with, like MTHFR, but Asea really helps with those pathways. It helps with your liver. It helps with pretty much everything. So the price point for Asea, if you take the normal amount, which is 4 bottles a month of the liquid, it comes out to about $157, something like that. But if you haven't seen, Angie and Arlen have a pay it forward program that we created, that if you sign up as an associate, we help share our orders with you to help you cover the cost of taking the product. So if you're interested in promoting Asea or telling anyone else about your journey with Asea, which is what everyone usually does once they start taking it, it's like, it's helped me so much, I need to tell everybody. You can sign up as an associate, and then we will help support you, which ends up covering your monthly cost, which is what we've been able to do for a couple hundred people already, is cover the cost of them taking the product themselves. So we believe in it so much as a team. Angie, Arlen, myself, the rest of our team, we believe in it so much that we're giving our commissions to other people so that they can take the product, because we believe in it so much. So I wish there were other brands we could do that type of thing with, but it just happens to be that they're set up in a way that allows us to do that. So let's see. Okay, so, I've given you kind of a lot of tips and action items and just kind of threw a lot of stuff at you. Again, I want you to focus on recognizing the positives and negatives in your life, your lifestyle, your diet, all those things that are moving you forward or moving you backward. Almost everything you do is either going to move you forward or backward. How can you focus more on the forward momentum versus the backward momentum? So if you can look at your life, look at your diet, look at your environment, and slowly start to peel away these ones over here and add to these ones over here, you are going to heal much faster. If you focus, like I said, on being an electrician instead of a physician, and you focus on increasing your voltage and removing your voltage stealers, if you focus on making sure you're moving and brushing and keeping your lymphatic system moving, it's going to improve the health of all of your organs. And if you can, I didn't really talk about, having a success mindset and the mental side of all this and the emotional side of it. Again, that is an entire, day worth of conversation. A couple action items that I always recommend to people, like I said, is creating a joy list of what brings you joy, but also a stress list. This was one of the biggest ones for me, is recognizing what every little thing that brings me stress. And there's good and bad stress. You need to make a list of all the good and bad stress. So you want to have that list of all the things bringing you stress and then all the things that bring you joy. And then you need to slowly start eliminating the stress items and then adding to the joy items. And that's going to move, that again is going to move you forward. So a big part of everything is recognizing what is holding you back, what the biggest puzzle piece is that's missing. From everything I just talked about, if you recognize, oh, I drink cold water during dinner, that's going to have a massive impact on your entire body. That one lifestyle thing. Or I don't get sun, or I'm not eating a variety of fruits and vegetables. That's the reason I use the EquiLife fruit and vegetable blend, is because it's literally an insurance policy. It means that I'm not stressed about cooking 15 different fruits and vegetables every day. It's providing me the building blocks that my body needs. And we didn't even go into vitamins, minerals, nutrients, phytonutrients. We didn't go into any of that because I wanted to dive deeper into some of the things that were going to move the needle in a really big way. And hopefully in the future, I can do another one of these. Like I said, I'm going to be providing content on social, but I will be starting to educate more on those things. And for anyone who was in our Access Yorize community before, we're going to be opening that back up in a couple of weeks, and we will be able to answer any and all of your questions in there. So I really encourage anyone who's got health issues, anyone who wants to learn about health, to join that community, because we have IHPs on staff. Jeanette's one of them in here. We have IHPs on staff who are there all day to answer your questions. And they help you through detoxes. They help you through those parasite protocols. They answer all your questions, because I know how stressful it can be doing anything alone. And so we created this community so that you don't have to go through anything alone. So again, it'll open up in about 2 weeks, 3 weeks maybe. And then we're doing another functional detox starting on October 3rd, which I highly recommend you all join us for, because again, that's at the very start of the journey. If you do the detox, then you can dive into more of the healing components. So, okay. Well, I think I answered a lot of questions. If there's any other big ones here that aren't specifically disease related that I legally can answer, you can put them in the chat. Otherwise, I'm so happy you guys joined me here, and I hope you took away a lot of tips. All right, Dominica, yeah.
Sorry, is there any reason not to do the detox? Like, I know Angie said one time, like, just choose, this is not my time to detox. Is it for like hormonal reasons, like before a period? Like, I don't know if this makes sense, but I just want to know if there's like a perfect time to detox.
So that's another thing I didn't go into, was the incredible world of hormones and how it is more beneficial if you do certain things at a certain time in your cycle. So for a detox, you can do it all the time. There's, okay, you don't have to do it at a certain time. However, when you doing any fasting or detoxing, you'll probably get more out of it if you do it right after your period ends, right at the beginning of your follicular phase.
Okay.
And that's another thing I'm going to recommend every woman here read this. Like, can you see that?
In the flow.
In the flow. Absolutely life-changing. And it will, women are not men. Our bodies are completely different from men. And we should not be eating the same things every single day. We should not be doing the same type of exercise every day. We should be, creating a lifestyle around what cycle we're in or where we are in our cycle. And again, I could talk about this for hours. I don't have time to, but I highly recommend everybody read this book. It will make a huge difference. It even impacts your mental health and your ability to work throughout the month, and, creating a work structure, creating all these things around where you are in your cycle, because all 4 phases, you're in a different spot mentally. You're able to be more productive in a specific phase. You're more, creative in a specific phase. And so this book is incredible. And the other one, I have them here, is Healing is Voltage. So this is a big book, but after everything we just talked about, if this part of things really interested you, and you really want to dive into the electrical side of things, this book is absolutely incredible and will give you more than you could ever want to know about every form of healing. It's so foundational. It's just absolutely everything. So highly recommended. I have a lot more recommendations, but these are the 2 that happen to be on my desk. And
thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome.
What was the name of that book again? Healing is Voltage?
Healing is Voltage. Yeah. There's a bunch of books that look like this. They're by this incredible doctor, and he's not a writer. So he even jokes about it at the beginning. It's like, don't worry about the spelling mistakes. Don't worry about the images not being perfect. I needed to get this book out. So it is absolutely incredible. And there's so many gems and takeaways from it. And I've read over 100 books on health and wellness, and so many of them are so similar. They're
Mhm.
all talking about the same things. It's like, how many times can you read about the same things? This is one of those that fills so many gaps and just adds to the education. So both of these two are the ones that I would say, you know, as an add-on to my IHP education, these were the most valuable for me.
Excellent.
So highly recommended.
One more thing. Sorry if I missed this.
Yeah.
If you want to do a parasite cleanse, which one
Yes.
do you recommend? Where would I
So
go?
it really depends on your level of imbalance and how sick you are. So I've done both the Cell Core and the Equilife. And the Cell Core one is the one that I did for the extended period of time, because they have multiple levels of protocol. And Jeanette, if you can you post my code in the thing? Because Cell Core you can't order unless you have a practitioner, and I'm a Cell Core practitioner. So you can use my code. It'll give you a 15% discount, and it allows you to log in, because you can't even log in without working with a practitioner. Cell Core's protocol is really powerful, and they have some of the best supplements available for their very specific thing. There are two supplement companies I recommend very heavily. Equilife for foundational support and for detoxing and for all their other protocols are absolutely incredible. Cell Core has a couple products that really stand out that I will probably take every day for the rest of my life. I will do that with the foundations of Equilife, but on the Cell Core side, it's their biotoxin binder. I believe they have some of the best binders in the world, and they're so unbelievably powerful and amazing. I went through 18 hours of training with one of their conventions, and I probably like 4 hours about their binders, and they're exceptional. So I will take one of their 3 binders pretty much every day. And I take another one after or before my sauna. And then the TUDCA. So we talked about the bile salts. That again is one that I will take every day because it is so unbelievable and powerful. So those 2 products on a like daily basis are must-haves for me and for pretty much everyone I work with and everyone I know. Because like I said, if you've got good bile flow, your liver and your gut are 10 times happier. If you're using a quality binder, you're removing all the stuff before it goes into the rest of your body. So it's helping lower your overall toxicity. And then their protocols, I highly recommend, depending how sick you are, either going through their level 1 or their level 2. The level 2 is their comprehensive. So that's for really sick people. And that has a lot of support vitamins connected to it. And it takes you through cleaning out preparing your body for detox. Then it goes through cleaning out the gut. Then it goes through cleaning out your lymphatics and the rest of your body, like I talked about. And then it goes through balancing more infection throughout your body and chronic illnesses like the Lyme and things like that. And then you have the option to go through mold and all of that. Again, this one was really powerful. Sometimes for me, it was a little too powerful. So I had a lot of herxing at the time, just because I hadn't prepared my body well enough at that point. And so this one is a lot more intense. The Equilife one, which is more of a 2 to 3 month protocol, as opposed to like a 6 month to a year, is still really powerful. It's probably going to kill just as many bugs. It's just not providing you all the surrounding supplemental support. And it's shorter, it's more cost effective. It's still a really, really powerful program. It's just not quite as in depth, and I'm going to be honest, I ended up in the hospital twice from the Cell Core protocol because of passing such big things out of my liver. And so
Wow.
But it was worth it in the long run, because like I said, everything was gone. All my gut issues, all my sensitivities were all gone after I finished the phase 3, which is the whole body parasite cleanse. And And then after you've done the initial big cleanse, I recommend doing a couple small maintenance cleanses every year, because no matter what, you're always going to have parasites in your body, and they're always going to be stealing your nutrients and eating your food and putting off digestive juices. And so I highly recommend doing a maintenance, just like I do with the detox. I recommend doing, 2 to 4 detoxes a year. I also recommend at least 1 parasite cleanse a year. And after you've done, I'd never done one. So I had 30 years of bugs to get rid of. But now I just do a 1-month maintenance each year. So
I don't have any symptoms. I feel great. It was one of those things, like some of the off the beaten path places I've traveled over the last 10 years, I've got to have parasites. So when I asked that question, I was thinking there was like a 5-day course, but it sounds like these are pretty significant, like 2 to 3 months for the exercise. Is that something that if you feel okay, you should take, or is it that's if you're having trouble and you're trying to rebalance, and maybe there's something just to clear out any parasites if you feel all right?
For you, for people who don't have any symptoms and they're just trying to optimize their health, they're just thinking, okay, I know that I've got them because I traveled to X, Y, and Z. I would suggest using the Cellcore Mimosa Pudica. I would take that because that is their core product, is Mimosa Pudica. And what it is, it's not even specifically an antiparasitic. What it is it's a gooey gum that literally, like, you take it and it binds to all the crud in your gut and pulls it out. So the thing is, if you've had parasites a long time, there are a lot of dead ones in there, and they're just stuck to the insides of your intestines. And the insides of your intestines are covered with crud. They're literally covered with a layer of crud. And so one of the best things you can do is take Mimosa Pudica for a couple months or even a month. It's not intrusive at all. It's very, very gentle. And so you take it, and what it does is it literally binds to the crud on the insides of your intestines. It binds to all the dead parasites. It binds to entire peanuts that were undigested, that have been sitting in your gut for 10 years, and it pulls them out. So you'll end up pooping out 2-foot-long worms. You'll end up pooping out entire pieces of food. You'll poop out big black chunks of tar. And what that's doing, even though it's not necessarily killing all the active ones, it's cleaning off the walls of your intestines so that you can then absorb vitamins again. So a lot of times when people have an inability to absorb or are feeling really bad, it's because the food isn't making it to the walls of their intestines. The intestines are covered with this black tar. And so literally you'd be totally blown away. We have a poop channel in our Access Yorize community, because all these people are going through parasite protocols, are like blown away by what comes out, and we let them post pictures of their poop. And trust me, when you go through it, you will do the same, because you want to share it with everyone. You're like, oh my God, I can't believe that just came out of me. But it's incredible what comes out, and it's not what you expect. So a lot of people use the Mimosa Pudica as almost a test, because they don't believe they've got them. And so I say, take this, here, take this. And a week later they call me, they're like, okay, Kate, I'm ready.
I can't wait.
Yeah, it's powerful. And again, like, I took it for a week before I saw anything pass. And then when I did, it was every day for almost a year. And you would be blown away by what came out of me. Blown away. There were multiple feet long worms daily. It's like, where did they come from? I'm a 135-pound woman. And then, like I said, once I moved out of the gut phase and moved into the rest of the body, it was a different type of bug. The worms were little and thin, really thin, which are sushi worms, pretty much. They come from sushi. So you never know until you try. And Mimosa Pudica will give you a really good indication of what your parasite load looks like and if it's worth moving into a full parasite cleanse. But for anyone who's got chronic issues, it's a must. It's an absolute must.
Wow. I can't wait to try this. And I'll probably try it for like 30 days.
Yeah.
When you're taking it to get them out, do you do like a psyllium, or I've heard people talk about diatomaceous earth, which I have not used yet, or just water? and just let your body?
You just drink water. Make sure you're very well hydrated. The lemon water. So one of the most powerful benefits of lemon water is it actually stimulates peristalsis of your gut. So it's one of the best bowel stimulants you can have is lemon water, which is why I drink it first thing every morning. Is warm lemon water, is because it triggers bowel movements. So if you're struggling with moving your bowels, I would 100% recommend that. So lemon is just one of the most powerful things you can possibly take, and it's pretty much free. So just make sure you've got organic lemon, and they now have bottles of pre-squeezed organic lemon. And yeah, I didn't need anything like that. Cellcore and Ecolife do have bowel support supplements that will help, move the bowels if that is an issue. That is one thing I highly suggest not starting Mimosa pudica if you're not moving your bowels more than once a day. So because it's binding onto things and pulling them out. So if you're not moving it, you don't want to try and move out lots of tar and crud. You want to wait until you're moving your bowels. So yeah.
Well, thank you so much for that.
Yeah, no, I'm happy to share my experiences. I've had a lot of them. And, the parasites was a massive one. The detoxing was a massive one. The Bemer and the PEMF, the saunaing, it's how you put all these together, how you move through things. It's understanding how important the order of things is. Order is so important. Even if, for instance, you're doing a sauna and exercising in the same day, which one do you do first? If you exercise first, you're going to get twice the benefit from the sauna as opposed to doing it the other way around. So it's small things like this that'll really maximize your efforts, just like on the business side that I talked about with a lot of you before this. It's like, how do you maximize your time and efforts and money and save yourself money? And a lot of the things I talked about today were free tools that are going to move you forward quickly. And okay, does anyone have any last questions? Dominica, yeah.
Sorry, I always have questions. I could talk to you for days.
I get you.
About the sauna. So I bought the sauna about a year ago through Angie's code and everything, the Therasage. And I know kind of why. When I went in, I would sweat a little bit, and I would go, start like 10 minutes at a time, not too long. But then I would feel like my energy was just depleted, like everything in me, like I don't know if I just basically kicked the dust in my stomach and everything up, and just it drained me. I don't know if my pathways weren't open all the way, but I was doing the dry brushing, I was walking every day, was drinking my water. And so I'm just confused because I want to start it back up, but I have this mental thing like it's gonna make me feel worse.
So were you taking minerals and electrolytes?
The only electrolyte I was using was just the Redmond salt and lemon water.
Okay, so that to me sounds like it's probably why you were feeling so drained, is that you have mineral imbalance.
Okay.
And mineral imbalance is, so out of all the functional medicine tests, the hair tissue mineral analysis is one of the most powerful for you, because if your calcium and magnesium are out of ratio, if your potassium to sodium is out of ratio, it has a massive impact on how you feel and how everything works. And so at that time, you were putting in the salt and the a little bit of potassium with the lemon, but when you sweat, you're losing so much. And also another thing that most people don't understand is that when you sauna, when you exercise, when you do pretty much anything, when you smoke, you're burning vitamin C. Vitamin C is lost with pretty much everything that you do. And so most people are vitamin C deficient. And so saunas are burning through your vitamin C super, super fast. And so there are all these potential deficiencies that were causing that issue. And, if you were dry brushing before the sauna, if you were, you always want to take in your electrolytes and your minerals and your water before the sauna. Most people are like, oh, I'll just take it afterward, but you need water to sweat out. You need, the minerals to sweat out. So you want to make sure you've got your water with electrolytes half an hour before at least, so that it has enough time to absorb into your body and your cells. And then you want to have it again after. And I highly also recommend having some vitamin C, which, you know, there's a good amount of vitamin C in lemon, but vitamin C is something that I use and add to my smoothies every day. I use liposomal vitamin C because it's literally like burned nonstop in your body. And so again, that's one of those that if you find raw food forms of it and can add it, you know, throughout your day, it's going to really help as well. So.
Okay. So the best version is through food with vitamin C, and then.
Yes. And there's a couple that I highly recommend. Hibiscus tea is the highest antioxidant and vitamin C liquid on the planet.
Okay.
So I use hibiscus tea in every one of my smoothies. So I make a smoothie almost every morning for breakfast, and the liquid is hibiscus tea. So I keep that around all the time. So I also superpower everything I do with antioxidants, because antioxidants are going to fight your free radicals and are going to keep your cells healthy. So I focus on some of the highest antioxidant foods in the world. And one of them is hibiscus tea. It's the highest antioxidant drink. Then the highest antioxidant food is actually a berry that comes in powder form that I add to every smoothie. It's called amla, AMLA. And it's super powerful for so many things. It tastes horrible, but it's very inexpensive. And if you just add it to your smoothies or any shaker, you're getting a massive dose of vitamin C and antioxidants, as well as a bunch of other benefits. So those two are really simple and easy. You can also buy something like the Peak Tea liposomal vitamin C. That's much more expensive, but I keep that around for emergencies or when I'm traveling, or if I'm not able to get in all, you know, the extras from my powders and smoothie and things like that. So
amazing. Thank you so much. I appreciate you so much, Kate. And thank you so much for having this, because this is invaluable, like Angie said.
Well,
so thank you.
I'm really happy you guys are taking good things away from it. I know I kind of threw a lot at you, and I'm hoping you soaked a lot up, and I'll send out the recording once I figure that out. But I'm hoping to be able to do more stuff like this. And like I said, when we open our community back up, our moderators, Jeanette, Courtney, Megan, those are all IHPs, and part of our team will be doing more question and answer things as well. So they've all got experience with all the same protocols I do, and they've all had a lifetime of, you know, wellness journey. Okay, well, again, I'm so happy everyone could join me. I hope you took a lot away from this. I hope you can share some of this and help some other people. Again, think like an electrician and just take an action step. Create those lists I told you about, and you guys are going to be in great shape and hopefully able to help a lot of people. So thank you. Have a wonderful Saturday, and hopefully I'll get to talk to you guys again soon.
Thank you so much.
Yeah. Okay. Bye.
Bye.